Did the NFL just create its own competition? On the biggest night in American television, what started as a halftime booking decision quietly turned into something much bigger. While the league moved forward with Bad Bunny as its global headline act, millions of viewers made a different choice. They didn't just complain. They didn't just tweet. They switched the channel. And what they switched to wasn't random. It was organized, intentional, and unapologetically American. Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Counterstage, cultural statement. And now, organizers are confirming this wasn't a one-time protest. It might be the beginning of a permanent alternative. 1. The halftime gamble. When the NFL announced Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime headliner, the decision made sense on paper. Global streaming numbers, massive Latin American reach, youth appeal, international expansion. From a business standpoint, it was strategic. But here's what numbers don't always measure: emotion. For years, many longtime football fans had quietly felt like the halftime show was drifting further from them. Icons, hip-hop superstars, international acts, spectacle-driven productions. The league was clearly chasing new markets. And while that expanded the brand globally, it left a portion of its traditional base feeling sidelined. Country music fans, in particular, voiced frustration online. Comment sections filled with variations of the same sentiment. What about us? To them, football and country culture weren't separate lanes. They overlap. Tailgates, trucks, small towns, flags flying in parking lots before kickoff. The vibe felt connected. So when the announcement dropped, the backlash didn't explode instantly. It simmered. Reaction videos surfaced. Talk radio lit up. Social media split into two very different camps. Some celebrated the diversity and international appeal. Others saw it as another example of corporate America ignoring heartland audiences. But the real twist wasn't the debate. It was what happened next. Because this time the frustration didn't just stay online. 2. The counterstrike nobody expected. Enter Turning Point USA. Within weeks of the halftime announcement, the conservative youth organization quietly began promoting something called the All-American Halftime Show. It wasn't positioned as a protest, at least not officially. It was framed as an alternative, family-friendly broadcast, a patriotic celebration of country and rock. Then the lineup dropped. Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, Gabby Barrett. That wasn't random booking. That was targeted. Each artist carries an audience that overlaps heavily with football's traditional demographic. Loud guitars, American flags, military tributes, straightforward messaging. The branding was crystal clear. This was the show for the forgotten fans. Promotion leaned into phrases like "for families fed up" and "a patriotic option." The tone wasn't subtle, and something unexpected happened. Instead of being dismissed as a fringe stunt, the alternative gained traction. Influencers amplified it. Conservative media outlets discussed it seriously. Clips circulated days before the game. By kickoff, it wasn't just a niche event anymore. It was positioned as a cultural counterweight. And when halftime arrived, viewers had a choice. Stay with the NFL's official stage, or flip to the All-American one. A lot of people flipped. But that wasn't the most surprising part. 3. The night the screens split. There's a psychological moment when people don't just disagree. They disengage. Reports from conservative outlets claimed significant viewership for the alternative broadcast. While exact numbers remain debated, social media engagement around the countershow exploded in real time. Hashtags trended regionally. Clips went viral in certain circles. Kid Rock opened with his signature defiance. Brantley Gilbert followed with high-energy anthems. The stage was wrapped in red, white, and blue visuals. Military tributes punctuated performances. It wasn't subtle branding. It was deliberate identity. Meanwhile, the NFL's official show dominated mainstream press coverage, as expected. But here's what stood out: the split conversation. Two Americas were watching two different halftime shows at the same time. That fragmentation is new. For decades, the Super Bowl halftime show was one of the last shared cultural moments. Love it or hate it, everyone saw the same thing. But this time, the experience fractured. And that fracture wasn't accidental. Because buried inside the alternative broadcast was a moment that shifted the tone entirely. For the tribute that changed the mood. Midway through the All-American broadcast, the energy slowed. The guitars softened. The lights dimmed. A slideshow began to play, featuring images of Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA. Emotional music underscored the segment. A voiceover shared personal values about faith, family, and country. For supporters, it was powerful. For critics, it was political symbolism layered onto entertainment. Either way it landed. The broadcast stopped being just about music. It became memorial, messaging, movement. Erica Kirk later shared gratitude online, expressing appreciation for honoring legacy and values central to the organization's identity. Supporters flooded comments with praise. What's important here isn't which side viewers stood on. It's that the halftime alternative had evolved from concert to cultural rally point. And once that line gets crossed, you're not just competing with entertainment anymore. You're competing with identity. And that changes everything. 5. Culture war on the 50-yard line. For years, critics have argued that sports and politics should stay separate. Reality says otherwise. From anthem protests to social justice messaging to corporate sponsorship controversies, sports has been cultural territory for a long time. The All-American halftime show didn't create that dynamic. It stepped directly into it. Kid Rock has built his modern brand on challenging mainstream narratives. Brantley Gilbert leans into patriotic symbolism. The branding synergy wasn't accidental. It was calculated alignment. The message beneath the music was clear. If you feel unheard, here's your stage. And that messaging resonated with a demographic that often feels culturally dismissed. Meanwhile, NFL executives likely saw a different reality. Global growth matters. Younger demographics matter. International expansion matters. Two strategies, two visions, one night. The real question became, was this just symbolic or strategic? Because PUSA spokesperson Andrew Colvett later confirmed something that escalated the stakes. They're doing it again next year. And that changes the calculus entirely. 6. The permanent alternative. A one-time stunt can be ignored. A yearly counter-event cannot. By committing publicly to make the All-American halftime show an annual tradition, organizers signaled long-term intent. This wasn't reactionary. It was foundational. If sustained, this creates parallel programming on America's biggest media night. Two ecosystems, two audiences, two narratives competing for attention. And here's where it gets interesting. In today's media environment, fragmentation is profitable. Streaming platforms thrive on niche audiences. Political podcasts dominate rankings. Parallel award shows already exist. Why wouldn't halftime follow that pattern? If sponsors align, if artists commit, if audiences show up. The NFL may not have intended to create a rival stage, but in chasing global expansion, they may have opened space for domestic counter-programming to flourish. And if viewership proves strong enough, other organizations could replicate the model. Imagine alternate award shows, alternate holiday specials, parallel entertainment built around identity instead of mass appeal. That's not hypothetical anymore. Just aired live. 7. Bigger than football. At its core, this story isn't about Bad Bunny. It isn't even about Kid Rock. It's about fragmentation. We no longer consume culture together. Algorithms segment us. News feeds divide us. Even halftime shows now split us. The All-American halftime show tapped into something deeper than genre preference. Tapped into belonging. For supporters, it felt like reclamation. For critics, it felt like politicized spectacle. But regardless of interpretation, the precedent is set. If audiences are willing to split in real time, corporations will adapt. The NFL will likely continue chasing global numbers. FIFA will continue offering alternative identity-driven programming. And artists will quietly choose which stage aligns with their audience. Next year's halftime won't just be a performance. It will be a test. So was this rebellion? Or branding genius? Did the NFL miscalculate its core audience? Or simply evolve beyond it? And is the All-American halftime show a temporary flair? Or the first sign of a permanent cultural split in live entertainment? One thing is certain. The era of one shared halftime moment may be over. Now it's about which stage you choose. Let me know where you stood that night, and what you think happens next.
Thank you, my viewer. I hope you keep it here on my channel for more discoveries on all the celebrities' untold journeys. Like, comment, and subscribe on Hajara Rama channel. Thank you so much.